The broken promise. The champagne sat untouched on the mahogany dining table, its bubbles long since faded into disappointment. Violet Chen checked her phone for the 15th time, 9:47 p.m. The candles she'd lit at 6 were now puddles of vanilla-scented wax, and the carefully prepared lobster thermidor had gone cold hours ago. "Working late again?" she whispered to the empty dining room of their penthouse apartment. The city lights twinkled below through floor-to-ceiling windows, mocking her with their romantic ambience. This was the third consecutive Valentine's Day that Marcus had missed dinner. The third year of broken promises, hurried apologies, and that same patronizing kiss on the forehead before he disappeared into his home office. As one of the city's most sought-after architects, Violet was used to demanding schedules, but something felt different this time. Her phone buzzed. "Sorry, darling. Big merger meeting ran over. Don't wait up. Make it up to you tomorrow." The message felt rehearsed, clinical, nothing like the man who used to leave handwritten love notes in her drafting kit during their early dating days. Violet stared at the text, her analytical mind, the same one that had designed award-winning skyscrapers, beginning to notice patterns she'd been too trusting to see before. 3 Valentine's Days, 3 identical excuses. 3 times she'd found herself alone, with wilted roses and cold dinners. She walked to Marcus's study, her bare feet silent on the hardwood floors. The door was slightly ajar, and his computer screen cast a blue glow across the mahogany desk. He'd left in such a hurry that he hadn't even locked his laptop, unusual for a man who guarded his business dealings like state secrets. Violet hesitated at the threshold. In 12 years of marriage, she'd never snooped through Marcus's things. Trust had been the foundation of their relationship, or so she'd believed. But as she stood there in her elegant red dress, the one she'd bought specifically for this evening, something inside her shifted. The screen showed his email, still logged in. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. Just one click, and she could confirm her suspicions were nothing more than paranoia born from loneliness. She clicked. The inbox revealed the usual business correspondence, client meetings, and project deadlines. But buried between construction contracts and zoning permits was something that made her blood freeze. An email thread with the subject line, "Tonight's the night," sent just hours ago. "Can't wait to see you in that red dress I bought you. The hotel suite is perfect. Roses, champagne, everything you deserve. This Valentine's will make up for all the ones we've had to keep secret. Love you always, M." Violet's legs gave out. She sank into Marcus's leather chair, the same chair where he'd held her just last week, telling her how much he loved their quiet life together, how he never wanted anything to change. Her hands shook as she scrolled through more messages. Months of correspondence with someone named Scarlett filled the screen. Intimate photos, vacation plans, and promises that cut deeper than any architectural tool ever could. But it was the most recent message that shattered what remained of her trust. "The divorce papers are ready. I'll tell Violet next week after we get back from Paris. Can't wait to start our real life together." Violet sat in the darkness for what felt like hours, her mind racing through every late night, every cancelled dinner, every time Marcus had made her feel like she was asking too much for simple companionship. She'd built her career on creating structures that could withstand any storm, but she'd never thought to reinforce the foundation of her own marriage. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed midnight. Valentine's Day was over, but for Violet Chen, the architect of dreams, it was time to start designing something entirely different. She opened a new browser window and typed, "Best private investigator in the city." If Marcus wanted to play games with her heart, she was going to make sure she understood all the rules first. The discovery detective Rosa Martinez had seen it all in her 15 years as a private investigator: cheating spouses, embezzling partners, insurance fraud. But something about Violet Chen's case felt personal. Maybe it was the way the elegant architect sat ramrod straight in Rosa's cluttered office, her designer purse clutched like armor, or the controlled tremor in her voice when she spoke her husband's name. "I need to know everything," Violet said, sliding a thick envelope across Rosa's desk. "Money is no object. I just need the truth." Rosa opened the envelope and whistled softly. Enough cash for a month's worth of surveillance. "Mrs. Chen, in cases like this, sometimes ignorance is bliss." Violet's laugh was sharp as glass. "I've been ignorant for 3 years. It's time to be informed." Within 48 hours, Rosa had more information than she'd expected. Marcus Chen wasn't just having an affair. He was living an entirely separate life. The business meetings were romantic dinners at 5-star restaurants. The client emergencies were weekend getaways to luxury resorts. And Scarlett Morrison wasn't just some random woman. She was the 26-year-old daughter of Marcus's business partner, James Morrison. But the real shock came when Rosa dug deeper into Marcus's financial records. He'd been systematically moving money from joint accounts into private ones, purchasing expensive gifts and funding lavish trips, all while telling Violet they needed to tighten their belts due to a slow economy. Rosa was preparing her report when her research took an unexpected turn. A routine background check revealed something that made her call Violet immediately. "Mrs. Chen, we need to meet. There's something you need to know about your husband's past." They met at a quiet cafe downtown. Rosa slid a manila folder across the table. "Marcus Chen has been married before. Her name is Bethany Walsh, now Bethany Cooper. They divorced 8 years ago, 2 years before he met you." Violet's coffee grew cold as she stared at the documents. "He told me he'd never been married, said I was his first and only love. There's more." Rosa's voice was gentle, but firm. "The divorce records show a pattern identical to what's happening now. Unexplained absences, financial irregularities, and according to the court documents, infidelity with a much younger woman." Violet's hands were shaking as she turned the pages. Photos of Marcus and Bethany on their wedding day showed a couple that looked genuinely happy, just like she and Marcus had once looked. "Where is she now?" Violet asked quietly. "That's the interesting part," Rosa said, leaning forward. "Bethany Cooper runs a successful event planning business here in the city. She never remarried, never had children. And according to my sources, she's been very interested in her ex-husband's current activities." Rosa pulled out her phone and showed Violet a photo from Marcus and Scarlett's Instagram accounts, a picture taken at an upscale restaurant just last week. Bethany was at the same restaurant that night, 3 tables away, with a perfect view of their table. "She's been watching him, Mrs. Chen, and I think she's been waiting for the right moment to act." Violet studied the photo, noting how Marcus's hand rested possessively on Scarlett's, the same way it used to rest on hers. "You think she wants revenge?" "I think she wants justice," Rosa corrected. The divorce settlement was heavily in Marcus's favor. Bethany got almost nothing. He claimed financial hardship while hiding assets. She lost her house, her savings, everything. She had to rebuild her entire life from scratch. That evening, Violet sat in her empty penthouse, staring at Bethany Cooper's business card. Rosa had done more than investigate Marcus's current affair. She'd uncovered a pattern of calculated emotional and financial abuse that went back nearly a decade. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Working late again, don't wait up." For the first time in weeks, Violet smiled. She picked up her phone and dialed the number on the business card. "Ms. Cooper, this is Violet Chen. I think we should talk." The alliance. The small wine bar in the historic district felt like neutral territory. Bethany Cooper arrived first. Her auburn hair swept into a professional chignon, wearing a navy suit that spoke of success hard won. When Violet entered, she recognized the same guarded expression she'd been wearing lately, the look of a woman who'd learned not to trust easily. "Thank you for meeting me," Violet said, settling into the booth across from Bethany. "I wasn't sure you'd actually call." Bethany's voice carried a slight southern accent that softened her words. "Most women in your position prefer to shoot the messenger." They ordered wine, a ritual that felt oddly ceremonial, before Bethany spoke again. "How much do you know about what happened between Marcus and me?" "Rosa gave me the basics, but I'd like to hear it from you." Bethany's laugh was bitter. "Marcus has a type, doesn't he? Successful, independent women who don't see the trap until it's too late." She took a sip of her wine. "We met at a charity gala. He was charming, attentive, made me feel like the only woman in the room. Sound familiar?" Violet nodded, remembering their own first meeting at an architectural conference. "The first 2 years were perfect," Bethany continued. "He supported my event planning business, encouraged me to take risks, expand. Then things started changing. Working late, missed dinners, that distant look you probably know well." She pulled out her phone and showed Violet a photo. Marcus with a young blonde woman, laughing at what appeared to be a romantic dinner. "This was taken 3 days before he served me divorce papers. Her name was Jessica. She worked at his law office. 23 years old, fresh out of college." Bethany's voice hardened. "He cleaned out our joint accounts, claimed the business, was failing, said he couldn't afford spousal support. I lost everything, our house, my savings, even some of my clients who decided to side with the successful lawyer over the bitter ex-wife." Violet felt a chill of recognition. "He's been moving money from our joint accounts too, telling me we need to be more careful with expenses while funding his affair." "The pattern is always the same," Bethany said. "He finds someone new while he's still married, starts planning his exit strategy, then blindsides his current wife when everything's in place for the next relationship." "What happened to Jessica?" Bethany's smile was sharp. "He dumped her 6 months after our divorce was final. Apparently, the thrill wore off once she wasn't forbidden fruit anymore. By then, he'd already started dating you." They sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the implications. Finally, Violet spoke. "Rosa said you've been watching him for 2 years, Bethany admitted. "I hired my own investigator when I heard he'd remarried. I wanted to warn you, but I also wanted—" She paused, searching for the right words. "Revenge, justice," Bethany corrected. "Marcus destroyed my life, my financial security, my ability to trust. He did it with calculated precision, and he's doing the same thing to you right now." Violet leaned forward. "What did you have in mind?" Bethany pulled out a tablet and opened a detailed folder. "I've been documenting everything, his patterns, his methods, his weaknesses. Marcus always proposes to his affair partners on Valentine's Day. It's his signature move, probably makes him feel like some kind of romantic hero instead of a serial cheater." "How do you know he's going to propose to Scarlett?" "Because I've been tracking his jewelry purchases," Bethany said with satisfaction. "He bought an engagement ring last week, expensive one too, probably using money from your joint accounts." Violet felt sick, but also strangely relieved. Everything finally made sense. "Here's what I'm proposing," Bethany continued. "We work together, pool our resources, our information, our anger. Marcus thinks he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. But what if this time he's not the only one thinking 3 moves ahead?" Violet considered the offer. She could walk away, file for divorce quietly, try to salvage what she could from her marriage's wreckage, or she could join forces with the woman who understood Marcus's playbook better than anyone. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Bethany's smile was feline. "Marcus has a reservation at Celestino's for tomorrow night, Valentine's Day, the same restaurant where he proposed to you 12 years ago. He's planning to propose to Scarlett there, start their perfect life together while leaving you with nothing but divorce papers and empty accounts." She leaned closer. But what if we crashed the party? The setup, the coffee shop near the university campus, buzzed with the energy of young love and Valentine's preparations. Heart-shaped decorations adorned every surface, and couples shared intimate conversations over steaming mugs. It was the perfect cover for what Bethany and Violet were about to attempt. Scarlett Morrison sat at a corner table, checking her phone nervously. She was even more beautiful in person than in the photos. Long, dark hair, expressive eyes, and an air of youthful confidence that made Violet remember what it felt like to believe in forever. "Are you sure about this?" Violet whispered to Bethany as they approached. "Trust me," Bethany replied. "Sometimes the truth is the kindest gift you can give someone." Violet cleared her throat. "Scarlett Morrison?" The young woman looked up, startled. "Yes, do I know you? I'm Violet Chen, Marcus's wife, and this is Bethany Cooper, his first wife." The color drained from Scarlett's face. "His... what?" Bethany sat down across from Scarlett, her expression gentle but firm. "We need to talk." "This is insane," Scarlett said, standing up quickly. "Marcus told me you were divorced. He said the papers were being finalized this week. Did he tell you that 12 years ago? He served me divorce papers on Valentine's Day morning?" Violet asked quietly. "Or that 8 years before that, he did the same thing to Bethany?" Scarlett sank back into her chair, her hand clutching her phone like a lifeline. "You're lying. Marcus loves me. We're starting fresh tonight. He's taking me somewhere special to propose," Bethany finished. "At Celestino's, table for 2 at 8 o'clock. He probably told you it was his favorite restaurant, somewhere that held special meaning for him." Scarlett's face went white. "How do you—" "Because that's where he proposed to me," Violet said softly. "And probably where he proposed to Bethany, too." Bethany nodded grimly. "Same restaurant, same speech about new beginnings, probably even the same ring. Marcus doesn't have original thoughts, Scarlett. He has patterns." Violet pulled out her phone and showed Scarlett the financial records Rosa had uncovered. "He's been funding your relationship with money from our joint accounts. The jewelry, the trips, the hotel rooms. I paid for all of it without knowing." "That's impossible," Scarlett whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. "He said his divorce was amicable, that you both agreed to keep things simple." Bethany laughed humorlessly. "There's nothing amicable about what Marcus does. He systematically destroys his wives financially and emotionally, then moves on to someone younger while we're left to pick up the pieces." Scarlett was quiet for a long moment, staring at the evidence spread across the table. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. "My father warned me about older men, said they always have ulterior motives, but Marcus seemed different." "They always do," Violet said gently. "That's their specialty." "What happens now?" Scarlett asked. "Do I confront him? Break up with him? I don't even know how to process this." Bethany and Violet exchanged glances. This was the moment they'd planned for, but seeing Scarlett's genuine pain made it feel more complicated than simple revenge. "You have a choice," Bethany said carefully. "You can walk away now, end things quietly, and avoid the public humiliation. Or what?" Violet leaned forward. "Or you can help us make sure Marcus never does this to anyone else ever again." Scarlett looked between them, processing the implications. "What are you asking me to do?" "Go to dinner tonight," Bethany said. "Let him think everything is normal. When he gets down on one knee with that ring he bought with Violet's money in that restaurant, where he's proposed to at least 2 other women, you'll have a choice to make." "What kind of choice?" Violet's voice was steady, controlled. "You can say yes and become his third wife, knowing exactly what you're signing up for, or you can say no and help us expose him for what he really is." Scarlett was quiet for several minutes, her fingers turning her coffee cup in slow circles. Finally, she looked up with an expression that reminded Violet of herself just days ago. A woman realizing she'd been living in a carefully constructed lie. If I do this, if I help you, what guarantee do I have that you won't destroy me too? I'm not the villain here, but I'm not innocent either. I knew he was married. Bethany's expression softened. Because we've all been exactly where you are now, trusting someone who didn't deserve it. The only difference is timing. Besides, Violet added, Marcus is the one who created this situation. We're just making sure he faces the consequences. Scarlett nodded slowly. What do you need me to do? Part 5. The reckoning Celestinos hummed with Valentine's Day romance. Soft jazz filled the intimate dining room, while couples shared intimate conversations over candlelit tables. Marcus Chen adjusted his tie for the third time, checking his watch, as he waited for Scarlett to arrive. The engagement ring felt heavy in his jacket pocket, a weight that should have brought excitement, but instead made him nervous. At a table across the restaurant, Judge Helena Cross sat alone, nursing a glass of wine and observing the scene with professional interest. At 62, she'd presided over hundreds of divorce cases, and she'd learned to spot the patterns of serial cheaters from across a crowded room. When Bethany Cooper had called and explained the situation, Helena had been more than willing to spend her Valentine's evening witnessing justice served. Scarlett entered the restaurant at precisely 8 o'clock, wearing the red dress Marcus had bought her, the same style he'd purchased for both Violet and Bethany in their time. She looked beautiful but tense, like an actress about to deliver the performance of her lifetime. You look stunning, Marcus said, standing to kiss her cheek. His smile was practiced, confident, the expression of a man who believed he held all the cards. They made small talk through the appetizer course, Marcus regaling her with stories about his difficult divorce and his excitement about their fresh start. Scarlett played her part perfectly, smiling at the right moments while her stomach churned with the knowledge of what was coming. As the main course arrived, Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. Scarlett, these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You make me feel young again, like anything is possible. Judge Helena leaned forward slightly, recognizing the opening lines of what would undoubtedly be a well-rehearsed proposal speech. I know the timing isn't perfect, Marcus continued, with the divorce still being finalized and everything. But I can't wait another day to ask you this question. He stood up, reaching into his jacket pocket. Several nearby tables noticed the movement, and a hush fell over their section of the restaurant. Marcus dropped to one knee, pulling out a stunning diamond ring that caught the candlelight like captured stars. Scarlett Morrison, will you marry me and make me the happiest man alive? The restaurant fell silent. This was the moment everything hinged on, the culmination of 3 women's pain and 1 man's arrogance. Scarlett looked down at Marcus, this man who'd made her feel special while systematically destroying the women who'd come before her. She thought about Violet, sitting home alone on 3 consecutive Valentine's days. She thought about Bethany, losing everything she'd worked for. She thought about her own father's warnings about men who made promises they had no intention of keeping. No, she said clearly, her voice carrying across the quiet restaurant. Marcus blinked, certain he'd misheard. I'm sorry, what? I said no, Marcus. Scarlett stood up, looking down at him, still kneeling with the ring. I won't marry you. The color drained from his face. Scarlett, I don't understand. We talked about this. We planned a lot of things, she said, her voice growing stronger. But they were all built on lies, weren't they? Before Marcus could respond, Violet appeared beside their table. Then Bethany. The 3 women formed a triangle around the still kneeling Marcus, who finally seemed to understand that his carefully orchestrated evening had gone terribly wrong. Hello, darling, Violet said to her husband, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Lovely restaurant choice, so original. Marcus scrambled to his feet, looking between the 3 women with growing panic. Violet, I can explain. Can you Explain how you've been using our joint accounts to fund this affair, Violet asked calmly, or how you've been planning to leave me with nothing while you start over with someone new. Just like you did to me 8 years ago, Bethany added. Same pattern, same lies, same restaurant. You really should have mixed up your routine, Marcus. Judge Helena rose from her table and approached the group, her presence commanding immediate attention. Mr. Chen, I presume. I'm Judge Helena Cross, Family Court. I believe we'll be seeing quite a lot of each other in the coming weeks. Marcus's face went ashen. A family court judge witnessing his public humiliation meant his divorce proceedings would be anything but private. Ladies, Judge Cross continued, I've been documenting this evening's events for my records. Mr. Chen's pattern of financial manipulation and emotional abuse will be very relevant in the upcoming divorce proceedings. The restaurant had gone completely silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. Marcus looked around desperately, realizing that his reputation, both personal and professional, was crumbling in real time. This is insane, he stammered. You can't do this to me. I have rights. So did we, Violet said simply. But that didn't stop you from destroying our lives when it was convenient for you.